I'm Kevin Mims with the Invading Sea, a Florida-wide media collaborative that reports on climate change in the state. As part of that effort, we started The Business of Climate Change, a weekly interview with businessmen and women whose companies are either affected by the warming climate or address climate challenges. Today's conversation is with Ina Lee, president of TravelHost Media Group and publisher of TravelHost Fort Lauderdale. Ina, thanks for talking with us today.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Ina, as someone who lives and works in South Florida, what kind of climate-related changes have you seen over the years?
Well, I've been here for about 45 years. And back then, no one was talking about sea level rise, let alone climate change. And we weren't having rainy day flooding. We weren't having massive hurricanes that stayed for days. So things are very different. And over time, obviously, we're dealing with all that stuff on an amplified basis right now. So that's what I've seen, and in the physical reality of it.
Ina, how have climate change and sea level rise affected the Florida travel industry?
Well, the tourism industry hasn't been affected yet, but it will be unless we deal with this, because tourism obviously is our number one lifeblood. But if we keep on flooding, having massive hurricanes, having images posted around the world, people are not going to want to come here or move here or invest here. And that's the long-term impact of this.
So, Ina, how is the travel industry adapting to these challenges?
Well, I don't think it's the travel industry so much. I'd like to focus, Kevin, if I could, on the business industry, because that's really what got me going with this. I was asked by the Greater Fort Lauderdale Chamber back in 2015-16 to chair the Resiliency Initiative. And back then, no one was talking about this. Now, obviously, the experts were, but clearly not the business community. So I'm giving you a long answer to this, but the first I brought together, because I'm a layperson, I'm not a scientist, I don't know about this stuff, but I brought experts to the table, specifically Dr. Gerardo from Broward County, Nancy Gassman from the city of Fort Lauderdale, people like that. And they started educating us, but it was a scientific conversation. And what was missing was the general public, including the business community, interested in the subject at all. No one was talking about it. So what I took on and what the community took on in the beginning was creating awareness, bringing it to the forefront. If you remember back then, Kevin, even our governor, you couldn't even mention the word climate change, right? And so we really had a lot of educating to do. And quite frankly, that's when the Invading Seas initiative really made a difference, because it brought it into a very broad conversation. But it wasn't until the business community got woken up by experts about what was going to happen to our insurance rates, right? The mortgage, like you can't even get a 30-year mortgage if really our banks, if we keep on going in this way, that they woke up.
Ina, what can local leaders and decision makers do to help?
Well, number one, we need to come together as a united voice, okay? And I mean regionally. This is not just a Broward County issue or Miami issue or even a South Florida issue. So we need a unified message, number one. We need to bring that to the federal government, because they really have the funds to deal with this, right? And obviously our state government, which finally has made some progress with the monies that are now earmarked towards resiliency, and obviously our local leaders. So but people need to, when they even go to vote, they need to ask the questions. What are you doing about sea level rise and resiliency? Because this is a long-term conversation. I just went to my grandson's kindergarten graduation, right? It's going to affect him. And that's really the issue here, because unless you see it, the water coming up to your front door, you don't think about it. It's not on your front burner. Or all of a sudden they're canceling your insurance.
Got it. So, Ina, what tips can you give someone looking for greener, more sustainable travel options in South Florida?
Well, number one, I would, as you travel, be aware, just take care of the resources. Okay, so take care of the resources while you're here. Be respectful of the environment. Don't leave trash on the beach. Don't use plastics. Okay, don't leave plastics on the beach. So if you see litter, pick it up. So I think those are things that an individual person can do. But also when you go home to wherever you come from, this is not just a South Florida issue. This is a national emergency long term. And quite frankly, it's the number one issue that we need to deal with as a planet right now. The numbers are staggering in terms of what's going on with the ice caps melting and the future. We're reaching that tipping point right now. And that tipping point, and we're talking about the Paris Accord right now, we're all ready to surpass those numbers. And there's not much time left. So the kids need to be educated. The parents need to make sure people are going into elected offices that really care about this issue and are going to put it on the forefront.
Ina, do you have any more comments or information on perhaps anything I didn't cover in these questions?
Well, I think one of the things we really need to talk about, Kevin, is more the current reality. Like, we need to put pressure on the Army Corps of Engineers to fund the whatever the study is called, the Central and South Florida Project Flood Control restudy. Okay. By the way, those that's the Army Corps' canals and pumps. You know, the reason Sawgrass Mills flooded years ago and had to close down, they're not on the ocean, they're inland, but those pumps are failing. And that's going to impact drinking water in West Broward. It's going to impact life as we know it. And the Army Corps is the only one that can do anything about it, because they're the ones that put in the system, but it was put in so many years ago, it's antiquated and those pumps are failing. You know how that all works, right? So those are urgent things right now. And making sure the governor and the state continues to put maximum dollars into the water management system. I don't understand why they rolled back that tax. We need to amplify those funds, number one. And then when we go to Washington, D.C., like the chamber every 2 years goes to the Washington Summit, we need to make this a priority in how we talk about it. And we need to make sure, again, that we're putting the right people in office to do something about it. We need money. We're talking about billions and billions and billions of dollars. And where's the money coming from? Can't come from Broward County. Can't even come all from the state. You know, we got a blessing because of the federal dollars that just got allocated, right? But in the future, we're going to need a lot more to deal with the infrastructure we need to correct the situation. Otherwise, life as we know it and why we all live here will never be the same.
Ina, I sure appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye-bye.